therapy and trying to, sort of unpacking the feelings he's been dealing with, I think, over the last year, but also over the length of his career. There's, one of his former coaches said something to me. They said, Joel would have been fine on a deserted island. I think there's something fundamentally lonely in him, and I think he's learning about that too. But that's at odds with the role he has to play, as we said earlier. He has to be a leader, and I think he's learning about that side of himself and trying to explore that. The friendship that he has with Tyrese Maxey is really important. It's a real connection for him, and I think it's made him a better teammate.
Dustin, I really appreciate you taking the time to sort of walk us through the way that Joel Embiid has been thinking and feeling about this entire process. Pun intended, but I really encourage everybody to go and to read your story, because I think, as everyone at home knows right now, there is so much nuance that we can only capture so much of right here on NBA Today. Dustin, I really appreciate the time. Again, his story is up right now on ESPN.com. And when he is right, there is nobody like Joel Embiid in terms of scoring, right? His 30.9 points per game the last 5 seasons, it leads the entire NBA here. As we say hello to our front office insider, Bobby Marks, I want to dive into a lot of parts of this story, Bobby, but let's start here with you, because there's so much to unpack. Do you agree, Bobby, that this is the most important offseason of Joel Embiid's life here?
I do, Malika, and I look at this as this partnership between Philadelphia and Joel Embiid. There's no turning back, right? Like, they've got to make this work, certainly from the Embiid health perspective here. And I remember last September when Joel Embiid had 2 years left on his contract, and he wound up signing that 3-year max extension, and that drew a lot of ire across the league. Why would Philadelphia commit another 3 years to a player that certainly is an MVP candidate, but it certainly has been injury related? And here you look at it, there's 4 years, $242 million. Malika, the last year of that contract is $69 million. That is the danger zone of contracts. So for both sides, they've got to make it work here, for better or worse.
Tim, do you feel like there's a real conflict when it comes to the messaging around the 76ers here between what Joel Embiid is saying and what the 76ers say?
Who cares what I think? Joel Embiid clearly feels like there's a conflict, and there have been a lot of issues with the Philadelphia 76ers throughout the course of his career. The constant seems to have been a lack of trust in the organization, and when trust is lost, it's really hard to regain, really hard to rebuild. And just listen to Joel Embiid, read his words. He clearly does not feel that his best interests are always being looked out for. I mean, he said in the story, the interview with Lisa Salters was a cry for help.
Yeah, and that I thought was really interesting, because it's one thing to feel as if you aren't being listened to. You know this. You've been in these locker rooms. It's another thing to decide that I've been not listened to for so long that I need to litigate it in an interview. And then it's another thing to feel you need to take another step and do this extensive and incredibly well done profile. That feels like it's compounding on top of each other.
Yeah, when hearing that, especially when he used the word as sensitive, a lot of guys hear that word and want to run away from it. Being sensitive to a number of different energies in the league is totally natural. Dealing with the ups and downs, the injuries that happen, dealing with people saying that you don't have the heart to want to play right now, and you know that this might be a worse injury than you're willing to admit to. You have to deal with all that, and I think it's all part of it. I do agree with Joel Embiid, though, that this is a very, very important offseason, because one, getting healthy at that size, you can't teach size, but you also can't deal with the repercussions that come with it. Like having a knee problem, an ankle problem, and then having that weight on top of it, it's a lot. You know what I mean? And for him to play at his dominant style of play that he likes, it's like that's gonna abuse his knee. It's a lot of spinning. It's a lot of attacking angles and playing angles and getting to the foul line, doing the little stuff that we like him to do. But it's like, to do that, he does have to beat his body up. So take your time, get healthy, make sure you're all the way healthy before you come back, and make sure that you play balls out.
And when you talk about trust issues with Joel Embiid, it's not just about other people in the organization. It's not just about his bosses. He has trust issues with his body, which has betrayed him repeatedly over the years. And we are 18 months removed from Joel Embiid playing as well as we we've seen a big man play.
Right.
I mean, literally averaging more points than minutes, absolutely dominant, and his body just has not allowed him to do that since, and you can understand the frustration.
And that's what we just heard. Hearing to me that Joel doesn't know what type of body he's going to return to, feeling that sort of almost self-betrayal, that's really interesting. That would be really, really hard to deal with, especially because we talked about this before the show. This team was ostensibly put around Joel Embiid. After he won the MVP, they were very honest. The 76ers said, you know what, we know, and Joel Embiid was honest. He said, I'm not really built to play 82 games. I've won MVP. I'm not even sure I'm built to play 65 games. So we're going to go out and we're going to put a team around Joel, the focal point of this franchise that is meant to help him to not have to carry that load. Tyrese Maxey, bringing in Paul George, drafting Jared McCain. In different ways, in different degrees, those players all got hurt, and this roster proved not to be able to help them achieve that one goal. And so now it sort of feels like we're having the same conversation about the same roster in an East that's wide open, and the 76ers should be able to capitalize on.
I get what you're saying, and I know that it probably feels like, for Joel, it's like, y'all aren't giving me, y'all aren't doing enough for me. Like, that's the confusion that comes, right? But it's like, health is the one thing that the ownership, the coaches, none of us could do anything about it. We want you guys to play this way, and we want you to, fully commit to your bodies, but injuries are gonna happen.
Right.
All been part of the game. You watch them be part of the playoffs and all finals run. It's just part of the game. So it's like a little bit of that. You got to take your foot off the gas and say we did have a team. You got to look at the roster and say we did have a chance to do what we planned to do. It's just we didn't have it that year, which is why this offseason does become important.
It was derailed before the season even really got underway here. I went out there to interview the 76ers during training camp. A week later, those interviews couldn't be aired because injuries had already began to pile up for this team. But man, they're easy to root for. You root for Joel Embiid. You want to see him out there at his best, and hopefully this is the year, but it feels like we've said that before.
Hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn mọi người móc một viên kẹo ngon tử tế, và ở đây nguyên liệu chuẩn bị có là prescott, kéo và khung móc. Và tương tự tại tích cho mình một bình 15 này, 16, 17 cũng một vòng kéo qua tại cho mình một bình thứ 18, 19, 20 và 21 tại tích cho mình một bình 22. mũi đơn thứ 8. Đây kia này lên kéo qua thao tác cho mình mũi đơn thứ 9. Và thao tác tiếp cho mình mũi đơn thứ 10. Tương tự tạo tiếp vào cho mình mũi đơn thứ 11. Tạo tiếp cho mình mũi đơn thứ 12. Đây kia này lên kéo qua thì sẽ mũi đơn thứ 13. Đây kia này lên mình sẽ mũi đơn thứ 5. Thao tác tương tự cho mình mũi đơn thứ 6. Thao tác cho mình mũi đơn thứ 7. Đây kia này lên kéo qua 2 vòng, mình sẽ có mũi đơn thứ 8.